what happened to Hannah and Mason. Cause I remember that one too. Hannah Mason. That was something. I remember. Chef was getting hot in that kitchen, getting frustrated.
On today's episode, we recap what happened to Hannah and Masons from Kitchen Nightmares. Aired in 2008 as part of the second
I think they had the raw meat with the cooked meat, and that's when he got pissed off.
In New Jersey, in the quiet little town.
Well, that was Jersey. Yeah, let me get that back.
Bistro called Aired in 2008 as part of the second season of Kitchen Nightmares. This episode is set in New Jersey, in the quiet little town.
Yeah, I didn't say what part of Jersey.
Where a French bistro called Hannah and Masons is located. The place was bought a few years ago by a couple of friends, Chris and Brian, and the rest of the staff consists of sous chef Mark, manager Nick, and waitresses Mary, Brittany, and Jenny. It sounds like a friendly little restaurant to eat at, but the truth is they have a lot of problems that can only be solved with Chef Ramsay's heavy hand. At the beginning of this episode, Chris explains that he was a little hesitant to buy the bistro, but thanks to Brian's moral and financial support, they decided to buy it. Plus, they had worked together in the past. But what Chris didn't expect was that Brian would turn out to be such a lazy and irresponsible owner, something that all the staff agrees on. For his part, Brian defends that he struggles to stay motivated, and that it has been this way for a long, long time. That's why Chris has had to take on more than he should, with duties in both the kitchen and restaurant management. Something that has been slowly wearing him down.
Working in that hot kitchen is something else.
Collaborates. To make matters worse, Brian has a rule of only opening 3 nights a week, as he doesn't like working those hours, and even claims that they're not losing money as a result of it. Oh, Brian, how wrong you are. Because of these conditions, debts have been piling up, threatening the future of the restaurant and its members. Fortunately, Gordon Ramsay shows up to the rescue.
Even when doing the small work back in the day, 3 nights a week ain't gonna do it. Maybe 5 nights a week, but not no 3 nights. You're not talking about serving a cup of coffee. You're making full dinners. Yeah, a cup of coffee. They call that the short order cook. Let's just do it. You restaurant. You serving more than coffee.
Though his initial.
Oh, ain't even got started.
Introducing On 34th, a new brand designed for and with women like you, only at Macy's.
I can't skip it.
Oh, no!
I hate that you can't skip.
I am only 3 weeks old after all.
Though his initial positive impression of Cranberries is ended when he sees the sign for Hannah and Mason.
Yeah, I see that. Mason. What the hell?
That's right. 1 N was missing. As soon as he enters the bistro, Ramsay is surprised by manager Nick, who at 23 is already taking on a position like that, but not so much because he wants to, but because his bosses are a disaster. After that, Ramsay sits down next to a photo of his wife, as they are celebrating Valentine's Day from afar. As his first order, the chef requests French onion soup, a quiche, and lamb lollipops. Although it was one of those house specialties, the soup disappointed Ramsay, not only because of its overloaded presentation, but because it was much more cheese and bread than anything else. And the little soup there barely had any flavor.
I never knew that. When I think of the onion soup, it kind of looks like, I know it's onion soup, it kind of looks like beef broth. I never known cheese to be an onion soup, but I guess it is.
Criticism didn't go down well with the owners, especially Brian, who was sticking to the good opinions of his diners. Fortunately, the lamb lollipops looked better, but nothing more, as they were undercooked and their sauce was too sweet. As for the quiche, its consistency melts as soon as Ramsay touches it, and the salad has too many black spots on it. Finally, Ramsay meets the owners, making special note of the restaurant spending more time closed than open, and Brian's lack of ambition, whose last big dish was a turkey panini. At dinner, they welcome multiple couples who want to celebrate their Valentine's Day.
I remember.
But this time, Chef Ramsay
got on his ass.
So nerves are on edge. It's not long before Ramsay realizes something terrible. The desserts on display are a week old, so they're hard.
Oh no!
After more than 20 minutes of waiting,
that's bad
the
business.
Start to get impatient, while things in the kitchen do nothing
stuff
to
like,
slow down.
If I remember, stuff like that that'll get him hot. Cause I think he said the pastry smelled funny or something. And Chef, as soon as he smelled it, he instantly got hot. Because I remember, like I said, I used to watch a lot of these episodes back to back to back. Because like I said, I'm late. I was late as hell. Because these shows are older than what they were. But when that the You Know What thing first started, I ran across the whoever was uploading the night, like they had their own channel now, the Night Kitchen Nightmares, and boy, if that dude wasn't raising hell, because I actually knew a chef like that. We had a teacher, was not a teacher, but he was the other teacher's husband, Chef Rem, and he raised hell in that kitchen. I remember when that guy was walking in there, you're putting in too much chemicals, you're gonna kill people. Everybody turned around like, what the hell's going on over there? Oh boy, he used to yell and scream just like Chef did. He literally the same way. I'll never forget that.
Ramsay notices that the salads are made with rotten spinach leaves, which they toss directly onto the plate as they receive the pre-washed vegetables. But they made the mistake of not throwing out the old desserts, and a piece of cheesecake was served to some diners by mistake.
Uh-oh, that's when he got pissed off.
In addition, he found a bread pudding that looks more like fish pudding because of how slimy it is. So many disgusting discoveries began to wear on Chef Ramsay's patience, and he demands to see the refrigerator, where there's food lying all over the place.
Oh no.
Among the dirty utensils, overcooked meat. In other unpleasantness, what upsets Ramsay the most was that they had the raw chickens piled up with the cooked ones. Oh, no. A real threat of cross-contamination.
I remember that. That's what they taught us. They taught us that in the we was working the place in the tech school. Cross-contamination. He's like, no raw meat and cooked meat. That's like you have that's like having a livestock mixed in with the raw meat, walking around in the room. It's not supposed to be in there. Oh boy, because I know Chef he would have raised hell on that one too.
His disgust
Chef
is
Rem,
so great
he
that he called
hot.
Brian out as Panini Head. After that, Chef Ramsay orders the kitchen to shut down immediately, for instead of a romantic evening, they will commit a Valentine's Day massacre and serve this food. With much embarrassment, Chris explains the situation to his customers, while some of his workers still don't know how to react, especially the waitresses. When only the staff is left, Ramsay scolds them for their terrible working conditions, although at least he praises Chris's bravery. Too bad he can't say the same about Brian, who didn't dare to apologize to the customers. What should have been a night of many successes ends up being a cleaning day for the staff, doing their best to rescue the place. But you know what they say, to build something worthwhile, you must first destroy what came before. The next day, Ramsay explores the region to come up with a rescue plan and is amazed at the amount of farms and fresh produce available in the area. He notices especially the variety of apples, big and juicy, so he decides to buy a large quantity of them to take back to the restaurant. Ramsay returns to Hannah and Mason's with a great dish in mind, but Brian again gets on his nerves about his lack of enthusiasm and vision. Instead of listening to the chef's advice, Brian begins to get fed up with the situation, assuring him that he will resign if he continues to be pressured. For his part, Chris is much more eager to save his business, so Ramsay shows him a new special dish for dinner parties: pork medallions with a touch of mustard, accompanied by slices of caramelized apples. With that delicacy, the restaurant reopens for the night in hopes of regaining the trust of its clientele, although Brian continues his threats to leave. Therefore, Ramsay asks him to run the kitchen for the night, but Brian doesn't even know where to start, generating almost no communication with his colleagues. I really wish the name Brian would stop being accompanied by a but it is. Minutes pass, and the first orders are still not delivered, and at the center of the chaos is, guess what, Brian, whom Ramsay points to as the main reason his restaurant is in decline. Things get increasingly tense between the two, with Ramsay reminding him of the importance of the business, and Brian complaining about his habits of yelling at people and calling him Panini Head. I can't get enough of that nickname.
Panini Head.
Finally, Brian opts to leave, fed up with the continued disrespect, even though he's just getting a needed lesson. However, the thing only remains an empty threat, as Brian returns more calmly to demonstrate why he bought the restaurant in the first place. The first orders start going out, and the dishes look so good that they make up for the delay. Fortunately, there were no further difficulties in the evening. On the contrary, the diners left very satisfied with the new special dish. Ramsay congratulates the staff for that, especially Brian for redeeming himself, and even manages to get a smile out of him. But enough of the praise. It's time to completely rethink the restaurant's food to ensure its survival. Since the apples were so successful, what better than to continue on that path and rely on local organic products? However, now the unmotivated one is Chris, who is not the most enthusiastic about the changes. Likewise, Ramsay and his team remodel the restaurant with a natural theme, so now it looks very cozy and nice. But the best part, without a doubt, is that they added the N on the sign. It's officially Hannah and Mason's again. Among the most notable changes is the display counter, filled with products from local farms and such. Everyone looks fascinated by the new look. Even Brian is pleased. But Chris can't help but express his doubts about the new vision for the restaurant, noting that it now looks like a coffee shop.
Now he's the one that's frustrated.
Well, that was the idea. Despite that, Ramsay keeps his faith in the future and the new menu, moving away from glamorous dishes and opting for organic and natural. In addition, local farmers are eagerly awaiting the relaunch of Hannah and Mason's, a restaurant that will become their partner of choice if all goes well. As such, Ramsay's team helped them set up a market outside the restaurant so his staff and neighbors can familiarize themselves with the new ingredients. Although he remained
Here we go.
They said break bread with your enemies.
You're not wanted in this town.
I say go further.
Keep walking.
Take their favorite sandwich.
Although he remained unconvinced, Chris greets all the farmers, thanking them for offering him their produce and promising that he will not let them down. After that, Ramsay shows the staff the new dishes from the new menu, which stand out for their bright colors and freshness. There are salads, veal, sandwiches, stew, burgers, and fish, which sound pretty common. However, it's just about preparing them in a different and even healthier way than before. In the evening, it's down to Brian and Chris to decide who's more enthusiastic about rescuing their restaurant. And they better get on the same page, because they have to fill the place twice a day to make a good profit. The orders start coming in, and the staff responds on time, wowing the customers with the freshness of the food. Thus, they successfully get through the first round of appetizers, with Brian demonstrating excellent performance in the kitchen. However, Chris has trouble getting used to the new dishes, so the delivery of the entrees starts to slow. As a result, the staff is forced to rotate tables for the sake of profits. Meanwhile, the kitchen runs out of mashed potatoes, so Chris decides to deliver the swordfish dishes with other ingredients to avoid further delays. Of course, Chef Ramsay is not at all happy with that decision, reminding him that they must follow through on orders to the end. Then, Chris decides to take the advice and increase the speed in the kitchen, allowing for a more effective table rotation. Thanks to that, they managed to deliver an incredible 85 dishes, when their previous average was 30. After a successful relaunch evening, Ramsay
Think
congratulates...
about the other episode of it was some kind of sandwich shop or something, and they were out of everything. I hope the guy he does a review on that. That place was out of everything, but this was he said he just added mashed potatoes. Surprised somebody ain't run to the store and try to get a bag of potatoes or something, but I guess not.
all the staff for their efforts. But don't forget that it's just the beginning. No matter how refreshing the menu is, the restaurant can only be saved if Brian and Chris match their responsibilities. It's going to be a long but exciting process forward. Finally, it's time for Chef Ramsay to say goodbye, wishing them luck for the future and reminding them that the drive only comes from within. As his final thoughts, Ramsay expresses that there is potential in Hannah and Mason's, though he's not entirely sure if Brian and Chris will sustain it in the long run. But the one thing he is sure of is that Cranberry's apples are spectacular, so go give them a try. What happened to Hannah and Mason's following the episode?
Yeah, where
Unfortunately, Chef Ramsay's fears were realized shortly thereafter.
Oh no.
As Hannah and Mason's closed in February of 2010 due to a combination of factors, including a downturn in the economy, and the new menu didn't end up pleasing regular customers according to some reviews. Therefore, the owners returned to the original menu, but its fate was already sealed, as Ramsay said in an article in the New York Post, assuring that before his arrival, things were already looking pretty bad. For his part, Chris had a similar opinion in Nation's Restaurant News. refusing to blame Ramsey and explaining that sooner or later they were going to close anyway. Currently, the restaurant's location is occupied by a lawyer's office, and Hannah and Mason's website has long since been taken down.
Wow.
As for the owners, both continued their culinary careers by taking different paths. Chris worked for a few years as a research chef and is currently based in New York as VP of Culinary Innovation. Brian, on the other hand, went through various positions as sous chef, executive chef, and head chef. While it is unfortunate that the restaurant was not able to last too long, it was a combination of unfortunate factors beyond the control of owners and staff, who had hoped for better results from their participation in Kitchen Nightmares. However, it's comforting to know both exceeded their capabilities and continue to shine in the kitchen.
Man, that was a damn
Activate up.
lawyer's office. Yeah, so I watched a lot of episodes. I'll be wondering what happened until there's another one. It was another, like Mother Sherry's. It was another soul food restaurant, but I can't think of the name of what it was. And that was in New Jersey too, but I can't think of the name of what it was. Wonder what happened to them folks. Hopefully he'll get to it, but I can't think of I have to try to find it again because that episode was something else. I don't know about Ramsey open because he be seeing stuff. He opened the door and sees a mouse at the front door. Know about that? So yeah, he be seeing stuff, and the guy thought he put it there. I don't know about that. Damn, the place. Well, I guess most of them, not all of them, but most of them went out of business. Damn.